because we are all different, even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Ginger Tea drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. It is the third day of the month of January 2023. Well, it's not too late to say Happy New Year to you. And of course, thank you for joining us on this very special Tuesday. Well, it may not exactly be a very good Tuesday because as a country, we are still mourning the spill effects of some of the things or some of the tragedies that did transpire. As of course, we were trying to transition from 2022 to 2023. Again, these are stories that we cannot just keep only in one day. The aftermath is very serious and we are still looking into it. And when I talk about that, of course, I'm talking about the tragedy that happened over there at Freedom City, which of course we'll be discussing more, myself and Robert Chabo Nyonyi Tono. But also, it's not, as we put that on the side, Robert, we know that there is quite a lot that is happening. Police is investigating into it. We know that the Vice President is also very serious on this. She's awaiting the files. But also, this year, I mean, how are you feeling? How are you getting into it? Are you trying to settle into it? Oh, the stories are still making you a bit uncomfortable. Like for me, I honestly don't know how to feel as we are getting into this whole January. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Well, I'm still trying to adjust
Yes.
with some of these very touching stories. Yesterday I was watching news, and as a parent, actually, even when I woke up today morning, if you followed the Bulova accident,
Yes.
and I saw these parents, before them, their caskets of their 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl. As a parent, in my career, I've always resisted being emotional.
Yes.
But I want to tell you, as I was watching this story and the mother saying, these children are not mine. God gave them to me to keep them. So if He's decided to take them, they have been good children. There's nothing against them. He has taken them. I saw the white caskets, and emotionally, I said, Lord, this is a life-lasting pain. Losing 3 of your children in a motor accident. It's just like someone has just left. Maybe they even said, good morning, mommy, or
Yes.
anything. So I'm still trying to fit into that, and I'm praying for that family. I don't know who they are. As in, I don't have any connections with them, but I've dedicated this entire week to pray for them.
You know, it's a bit
Because
hard.
It's very disturbing. And of course, still looking at death, also I followed events in Serere where I have something to ask you, Philo.
Yes.
And of course, our viewers, should political positions be hereditary? You know, when the late Jacob Olanya died,
Yes.
the son came to parliament. When Serena Nebanda died, the sister came to parliament because he didn't have a child who was that mature. When Kenny Ruchamuzi had issues with the IGG and he did not return to parliament, he brought us the daughter.
Yes.
So I'm just asking myself, is it about, are we going into succession that if I'm a good politician, I'm
Yes.
eloquent, I'm working for my people, does it mean that even my son or my daughter, you know, has those genes to take over? Because now in Syria, this is creating confusion.
Yes.
They say there was an NRM flag bearer, though the late Okabe managed to win. And now, under normal circumstances, usually the flag bearer takes over. But now they're saying this was a shocking death. Even UPC came out and said, we are backing the son of the late. You know, an accident is very scary, very shocking, so we feel the son should take over. And I'm just talking about it.
Robert,
Should
one thing about political leadership, first of all, I'm just gonna, I don't know whether it was a rhetorical question or not, but it cannot be hereditary. This can't be in genes. It's not genetically. I really want to believe on the spiritual realm that it's a gift from God. And I don't think it's a gift that everybody possesses. See, your father could possess that gift as being a very good political leader or a leader in general, but you as a child, you could be out for a different calling. So I would totally disagree with that. Political or succession politics is not it. It shouldn't be the type or style of politics we should be taking on in Africa here. And it's very sad and heartbreaking that here in our very own parliament, it's a culture that has cropped up.
Remember
and eventually,
the female MP we had
I
was
remember.
at Mukono.
Yes,
she came in, is it Elongate or something like
yeah,
that?
Elongate.
After the father.
Yes.
So she automatically became.
Yes. And I feel like very many of the people who usually come in or who succeed in their parents,
Yes.
It's usually a vote of sympathy.
And they never...
And for me, my problem is, are they going to deliver? Do they deliver? And I feel like maybe this is an area we need to look into. After you took over probably your parent, did you deliver? Are your people happy? The people you're representing in this August House, are they happy? Because again, that is how we are going to gauge and see what's the efficacy of this political system. Because at the end of the day, it's just not it. I totally disagree with that.
But unfortunately, precedent has been set.
Yes.
And now I want to tell you, once precedent is set, that members of parliament who've either died in accidents or left, their children are taking over. Now, we should not resist this at any other level.
Yes.
Because, you know, if we've been welcoming it, so let's accept it is something that we can move ahead with, because it can't be good for you and bad for me. Yes.
Well, we still have quite a lot to talk about. Well, it can't all be bad. There is also some good news coming in from the Ministry of Energy, Robert. You know, the last couple of weeks, at least towards the end of the year, we have been seeing quite several cases of vandalism, electricity vandalism, and there have been quite a number of fears about load shedding, people being electrocuted, safety and whatnot. So Ministry of Energy has come up and set up several multi-sectoral, you know, departments to make sure that they deal with this issue. And I also remember His Excellency saying that he's going to go hard on...
And I love the phrase he used. He
he's
said,
going to go hard on the criminals.
stay tuned.
Yes.
Mulindirire temuva ku mukutu. So
Well,
anytime tuli ku mukutu tulinda ka program kyakaddako His Excellency kaleeta eri abo abazannyisa. Because for sure,
Yes.
why I want this to be handled with a lot of... These people lack focus. They're doing silly things, idiotic things. Because what happens when they cut these piles, they never take them. Can you imagine? Someone cuts a pile, that thing, according to the PRO, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, he said it costs 200 million.
Yes.
Putting it down, if they're to rebuild it, and they can't do that within a day. But someone comes, cuts, doesn't steal, that maybe they're taking for scrap, but cuts and continues. Now, how foolish can you be to contribute to be part of that act? People, you can kill people because of they can get electrocuted.
Because there is too much recklessness while, you know, operating
Then also,
the crimes,
you know,
anyway. Yes.
the road shedding, the factories you're affecting because of that, that is high voltage. It's good for industries and all that. But for you, just cut and go. If we get you, for sure.
I remember there were divisions amongst the public when they were talking about the fact that maybe some of these vandalism acts are being carried out by people who actually know what they're doing. At one point, it is believed that maybe some of these practitioners in this very field know what to do. They know where it hurts most, so they decide to do that. But again, it was not confirmed. There were very many divisions. Others were talking
Actually,
about...
I thought first,
Yes.
Before going with the ministry to look at some of these sites, I thought was what they do is very complicated. Fiddle. And I thought maybe you need to have experts. These guys don't even climb.
You don't need any kind of...
For them, all they need is a cutter.
Yes.
They cut down and the entire tower falls. Then they continue. It's not that maybe it is so sophisticated what they are doing. So this idiocracy, this no-sense act and something that is economically deterrent, once those people are found, I think the whole country we should have a live telecast of the punishment they are getting. Not just hearing they have been paraded in courts of law.
Yes.
You know, we should see them being punished. so that others, once we have reasonable evidence beyond reasonable doubt, these people, their punishment should be seen nationwide, that these are the young men or old men or young women. Because these days even women are not exceptional in crime. Their crimes thought they were for men. Today women have stepped their thing. So these ones, we should be able to see them either on national TV, that these have been the people, and then this is the punishment given to them. And among them should not only be imprisonment, but even some caning.
You guy, maybe we need to give you a position of power. I feel like you have the capacity to handle some of these cases.
I can change this country, my friend.
Well, it's good morning, Uganda. And as we still talk about Uganda, definitely we can't fail to talk about the economy. Now, speaking of which, the Ministry of Finance has come out and has expressed their worry about the pressure that is being exerted onto the economy by the growing population, especially when it comes to improving the quality of service and employment. And according to the statistics, they were showing that about 23 million youth are the ones we currently have that should be employable. Now, some people would see this as a disadvantage, but personally, I am very happy because I feel like this is going to put hot fire on the table when it comes to the people who are supposed to do this. I mean, we're talking about quality, we are talking about improved services. Although, of course, I know over time experts and other people will come in and say a very, very high population rate of a country is very detrimental.
It's a time bomb.
Yeah, it's detrimental to its development. But when it comes to the pressure, I am liking this pressure, honestly, Robert. And
I'm advocating for family planning. Fellow Ugandans, we have one of the highest fertility rate of our women in the world.
Which is not a bad
Uganda
thing.
women are very fertile, and the men are equally very active. You people, let's advocate for safe and proper methods of family planning. Please. Children by choice,
yes,
not by chance. You find someone naye tata, naye mama.
2023 has to be totally a different story. We can't be having the same, issues
this
and
issue
problems.
of ozala di, ofumbirwa di. You parents, mwetereze, ozala di, ofumbirwa di, twetaaga abazzukulu. We must move away from that in 2023. Children must be by choice, not by chance, and only when you feel you're able. I would have loved so many children, but I can't go beyond 3.
Yes.
However much I want to. So we must preach this gospel from church, mosque, everywhere. Family planning. We can't continue simply, somebody give birth, God will provide. I believe in God, I respect God, but I'm very realistic and practical.
Yes.
Yes, people, we must not boast of high population, what. No, let's work towards reducing our population.
We need to get into the whole mentality and mindset of God helps those who help themselves. It's not necessarily in the Bible, but I think if we actually implemented it. Having a family right now, in a setting like this, in an economy like this, Robert, seeing parents who are looking at having about 7 children, when you don't have the financial capacity and the capability to look after these children is very, very dangerous, because you don't have a plan for these children. You do not know how they're going to survive right from the time the woman conceives. You don't know what's the plan when it comes to the hospital. What are you going to do when it comes to education, when it comes to providing the basic needs? It's still again a question. It shouldn't be like that. You should have a plan. I feel like you should have a plan right from the word go. Even before having these children, you have set out a plan. If I have my 2 children, this is going to be it. But here in our country, it's very unfortunate and sad that we're still looking at. We'll see after the children have come.
Children are a blessing. Yeah. You just produce, God will take care.
Change your mindset.
That's
2023 is a year for that. And again, I'm very, very glad that this is a discussion we've been having throughout the course of 2022. I want to believe and hope that 2023 is going to be the year for implementation. Well, there is quite a lot that is happening right here in Uganda. There is a lot also happening on the global scene, and that is why we are here to just give you certain highlights of something you could have missed out in terms of the news. Right now, Robert is going to be taking you through some of our local stories. Much later on, I'll come in with some of the international stories as well.
Well, we'll begin with the unfortunate incident where His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has condoled with the families that lost their loved ones in the Freedom City incident. President's condolence message was delivered by the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, who visited the venue where the fateful night incident occurred. President Museveni gave 5 million cash support to each life that was lost. Relatedly, police have arrested music promoter Abe Musinguzi, also known as Abitex, over negligency during the crossover night that resulted into a stampede at Freedom City on the 31st of December 2022. Police spokesperson Fred Enanga confirmed that 10 people have so far been confirmed dead. Relatedly, the Uganda police have recorded an increasing number of mob justice and murders during the festive season. Police spokesperson Fred Enanga told journalists at police headquarters in Naguru that the New Year celebrations registered various cases. And moving on, residents of Namulanda village, Ziru, Kauku, and Akrite and Webaja in Entebbe municipality cordoned off Entebbe Magistrates Court opposing the bail of Charles Chagaba. Chagaba was arrested for allegedly torture and using extra force to grab their land. They plead to President Museveni and the State Anti-Corruption Unit Committee to intervene and follow up on the matter, citing land grabbers corrupting the system. And still moving on, Uganda, in a bid to start commercialization of silk production, Uganda, under Tropical Institute of Development Innovation, is set to send its first ever silk yarn to European market. According to Aine Robinson, the company monitoring the evaluation, and Uganda is set to send its first batch of silk yarn of 10 Husk brand to Europe market that is undergoing quality assurance test, which if confirmed will be ready for commercial produce, and then it will be assurance that the country has entered this market seriously.
Crossing over to the international stories. Now, an emotional Brazil began paying its final respects Monday to football legend Pelé with a wake of the stadium where he first took the world's breath away with his dazzling skill. Hundreds of fans lined up Monday morning to file through the Villa Belmiro, home to Pelé's longtime club, Santos, where the coffin bearing the remains of Cure, also the king, was displayed in the center of the field. Pelé, a three-time World Cup winner, widely considered the greatest footballer of all time, died on Thursday at the age of 82 after a long battle with cancer. Carlos Mota and his 12-year-old son Bernardo traveled more than 500 kilometers from Rio de Janeiro to Santos, a southeastern port city in Sao Paulo state, to pay tribute to their late hero. Where Russia has said that 63 of its troops were killed during a Ukrainian New Year's Eve attack on a makeshift barracks in the partly occupied Donetsk region. The ministry said in a statement on Monday that Ukraine's military had launched 6 projectiles at the provisional base in the eastern city of Makivka using the HIMARS guided rocket system supplied by the United States. Now, 2 of the missiles were shot down by Russian air defenses, it added, but 4 struck the building. The ministry's statement came after the Strategic Communications Department of Ukraine's armed forces said late on Sunday that 400 Russian troops were killed in the attack and another 300 were wounded. Now, according to footage that was posted online, appeared to show a building purported to be a vocational college in Russian-controlled Makivka reduced to smoldering rubble. Now, Malawi has delayed the opening of public schools in its 2 major cities of Blantyre and Lilongwe, the health minister said on Monday, to try to slow down a surge in cholera deaths. The total number of cases has surged to 17,824 and the number of deaths to 595 since cases were first reported in March, with the mortality rate increasing to 3.34% according to the Ministry of Health. Cholera is an annual problem during Malawi's rainy months from November to March, when the number of deaths is around 100 a year. But the current outbreak is expected to be the worst yet. A new reopening date will be announced later, she said. The United Nations Health Agency says fatality rates are rising in about 30 countries around the world that reported cholera outbreaks in 2022, about a third higher than in a typical year. We're looking at some of the climate news. Evidence is mounting fast of the devastating consequences of climate change on the planet, but college textbooks aren't keeping up. A recent study found that most college biology textbooks published in the 2010s contained less content on climate change than textbooks from the previous decade and gave shrinking attention to possible solutions to the global crisis. The study, conducted by researchers with North Carolina State University, was based on an analysis of 57 college introductory biology textbooks published between 1970 and 2019. The researchers found that coverage of climate change increased over the decades to a median of 52 sentences in the 2000s, but that figure dropped in the 2010s to a median of 45 sentences. Now that's less than 3 pages, according to Jennifer London, an associate professor of biological sciences at North Carolina State University and a co-author of the study. Well, we're still looking at some of these stories, and of course we can talk about international stories, and we failed to recognize the former Pope, that is the late Pope Benedict XVI, where thousands of people have actually been paying their last tributes, according to the reports that are coming in, especially when it comes to his lying. And I love the fact that very many leaders from several countries are also paying their tributes. And you know, listening to some of the special things people had to say in less than a decade, where he actually decided to step down because of his health issues. Well, I believe that we'll be giving you more updates, of course, as more plans are coming in and being announced by the Vatican. But also, while we're at it, every other day, one of the messages we keep talking about is health, and this is not something we can leave in 2022, Robert. I believe that even 2023, health is supposed to be prioritized.
Oh, definitely. You cannot enjoy 2023 when you're very unhealthy, when what you're working for, you're spending just giving away to the medics. So this is what you need. You need to boost your immune system. Hallelujah, tamarind drink. Hallelujah, banana juice drink. And hallelujah, jinga tea. What these do is they boost your immune system, and you're able to fight off a number of diseases that would affect you. Therefore, you're making savings, and you're more productive, but also the savings, you make wise investments. My sister, treatment is expensive these days. Before even they touch you, and you pay consultation fee.
Yes.
That is about 50K. Now, they doctors today, everything, even if you go with a headache, let's do this test, let's do this test. They take you through a number of tests, each test 20, 30, 40. Now you finally go and see that doctor. They prescribe. So by the time you leave that clinic, 200 is gone. 200
is gone. The least amount you could actually walk with to a hospital or clinic is 100,000 Uganda shillings. And honestly, at this point, that is not something that we would take as a privilege. So do all you have to do to make sure that your body is in a good state to avoid all these expenses. Only incur them if you must. It's Good Morning Uganda, and every other day we are very happy to have you be part of our conversations by, of course, sharing in your thoughts, sharing your 2 cents with us. And in this morning's conversation, again related to the poll question that I'm about to share with you, we are looking at how best we can have all these safety measures ensured, especially when it comes to public concerts. Now, this is in the wake of what just happened a couple of days ago at Freedom City. And here at Good Morning Uganda, Uganda, we are asking how best can we actually ensure safety at public concerts? What ways do you think we have to put into our, everyday security operations, especially when we have all these concerts coming through, to make sure that everybody who is in attendance is safe? The way they get in should be the way they leave. Well, go on, get into our social media platforms, #UBCGMU. We'll be sharing all of those, your thoughts and opinions, with the rest of our Good Morning Uganda family. Today is our Tuesday. We're going in for a break and, of course, an inspirational song. When we get back, we'll be having more conversations about this safety and in all these public concerts that we are yet to have as 2023 goes by.
Weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different, even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person
That is happening. It is the third day of the month of January 2023. Well, it's not too late to say Happy New Year to you. And of course, thank you for joining us on this very special Tuesday. Well, it may not exactly be a very good Tuesday because as a country, we are still mourning the spill effects of some of the things or some of the tragedies that did transpire. As of course, we were trying to transition from 2022 to 2023. Again, these are stories that we cannot just keep only in one day. The aftermath is very serious and we are still looking into it. And when I talk about that, of course, I'm talking about the tragedy that happened over there at Freedom City, which of course we'll be discussing more, myself and Robert Chabo Nyonyi Tono. But also, it's not, as we put that on the side, Robert, we know that there is quite a lot that is happening. Police is investigating into it. We know that the Vice President is also very serious on this. She's awaiting the files. But also, this year, I mean, how are you feeling? How are you getting into it? Are you trying to settle into it? Oh, the stories are still making you a bit uncomfortable. Like for me, I honestly don't know how to feel as we are getting into this whole January. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Well, I'm still trying to adjust
Yes.
with some of these very touching stories. Yesterday I was watching news, and as a parent, actually, even when I woke up today morning, if you followed the Buloba accident,
Yes.
and I saw these parents, before them, their caskets of their 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl. As a parent, in my career, I've always resisted being emotional.
Yes.
But I want to tell you, as I was watching this story and the mother saying, these children are not mine. God gave them to me to keep them. So if He's decided to take them, they have been good children. There's nothing against them. He has taken them. I saw the white caskets, and emotionally, I said, Lord, this is a life-lasting pain. Losing 3 of your children in a motor accident. It's just like someone has just left. Maybe they even said, good morning, mommy, or
Yes.
anything. So I'm still trying to fit into that, and I'm praying for that family. I don't know who they are. As in, I don't have any connections with them, but I've dedicated this entire week to pray for them.
You know, it's a bit
Because
hard.
It's very disturbing. And of course, still looking at death, also I followed events in Serere where I have something to ask you, Philo. Political positions be hereditary. You know? When the late Jacob Olanya died, the son came to parliament. When he died, the sister came to parliament because he didn't have a child who was that mature. When Ken Ruchamuzi had issues with the IGG and he did not return to parliament, he brought us the daughter.
Yes.
So I'm just asking myself, is it about, are we going into succession that if I'm a good politician, I'm
Yes.
eloquent, I'm working for my people, does it mean that even my son or my daughter, you know, has those genes to take over? Because now instead this is creating confusion.
Yes.
They say there was an NRM flag bearer, though the late Okabe managed to win. And now, under normal circumstances, usually the flag bearer takes over. But now they're saying this was a shocking death. Even UPC came out and said, we are backing the son of the late. You know, an accident is very scary, very shocking. So we feel the son should take over. And I'm just talking about it.
Robert, one thing about political leadership, first of all, I'm just gonna, I don't know whether it was a rhetorical question or not, but it cannot be hereditary. This can't be in genes. It's not genetically. I really want to believe on the spiritual realm that it's a gift from God. And I don't think it's a gift that everybody possesses. See, your father could possess that gift as being a very good political leader or a leader in general, but you as a child, you could be out for a different calling. So I would totally disagree with that. Political or succession politics is not it. It shouldn't be the type or style of politics we should be taking on in Africa here. And it's very sad and heartbreaking that here in our very own parliament, it's a culture that has cropped up. And eventually,
the female MP we had
I
was
remember.
at Mukono.
Yes,
she came in.
Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Would you know where to find your children if they got lost in a supermarket? Do not think so hard. The answer is simple. Like adults, they too are in love with the delicately and expertly prepared freshness of, you guessed right, the ever so tasty Sam's Crisps. Sam's Crisps come in tangy lemon, fruit chutney, salt and vinegar, chili, tasty tomato, and more. All available in your nearest shop or supermarket. Sam's, taste the difference.
The festive season is here and it's Christmas in 4G from Airtel. Get the most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda, now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes! 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected to your loved ones this holiday season.
Dial star 175 star 94 hash to activate free 1 GB instantly and 100% double data on all weekly and monthly bundles for 3 months. Get one today while stock lasts from the nearest Airtel shop. Happy holidays this festive season with Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's a new world. We are going global. A new world of greater connectivity. From Entebbe to Dubai, London, Mumbai, and Guangzhou. Welcome aboard a great new experience. Uganda Airlines.
Paying your bills the old way.
Let's go. Just need to buy some power.
Paying your bills with the My Airtel app.
Bro, there's a line.
You have the power in your pocket. The power to instantly pay your bills hassle-free. Unlock that power with the My Airtel app. Visit the App Store or Google Play now.
Oh, you're back.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Three minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. here in Good Morning Uganda. Welcome to the newsreel on the start of January 2023. My name is Philomena Masco this morning, and I am with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintino. And for this newsreel's discussion, We're going to be looking more into the tragedy that happened over at Freedom City, but not specifically tying it to this, but just looking at generally when it comes to preparations, when it comes to management in circumstances like this. How well are we doing? The safety, the security, are these some of the things we give priority? Have we been giving priority to them before? Or maybe it's mainly because after seeing an escapade like this that we are waking up. And anyway, is that the right thing to do? We are going to be looking at the dynamics when it comes to security setups in areas like this. Now, we know that when we were transitioning from 2022, Robert, to 2023, things did not go down so well. And when it comes to revelers going in to make sure that they usher in the year, we do it in several styles. Some could be safe, others could be quite unpredictable, like this one. And even before we get into all of that, we definitely want to send out our condolences to all the families that did lose their people in this and very many other occurrences that happened all over the country as we're crossing over in 2023. But this morning, our poll question again is going to be related to the topic of discussion, where we are asking how best can safety be ensured at public concerts here in Uganda. Now, of course, this has been making rounds all over the news realm here in Uganda. We have seen police come in to give their statements. Yesterday, we did have the spokesperson for Uganda Police, that is Fred Enanga, give out a list and give out the measures they have put into place, and also giving us updates about what happened there at Freedom City. Now, several areas I would love us to look at, Robert, as we are discussing. Now, when we are talking about this tragedy, there are very many, stories that have come through. And I was trying to, note down a few things, and I'm pretty sure these again are some of the issues that are being shared by the public. The due diligence when it comes to some of these venues, is it done by police as it should be? And when it's done, what's the efficacy? Should it be done before, during, and after, or maybe just only at the start? But also looking at the Public Order Management Act, is it very relevant to occasions like this? And also looking at safety measures of disorders and stampedes at crowds like this. Also looking at safety measures against crowd control. These are some of the areas I would love for us to discuss. And of course, you, our viewers, would be very happy and glad to have you be part of this, because it's not necessarily just about us, it's about you. This is a long year. We know that there are very many other concerts that are being planned during the entire year. So we wouldn't want to, witness again other tragedies like this. We have to make sure we learn from the experience that has been given to us to avoid future circumstances. So go on, get into our WhatsApp platform on 0709-602-592. Get onto our Twitter, #UBCGMU. Let us know how we can ensure that safety is put #1 priority at concerts like this. But in all of this, Robert, I'm pretty sure you're well engaged with this story. You know what happened. And again, we'll be, of course, giving a few details here and there as we go on. But my question is, do you think there was due diligence by the police when it comes to this? And not only this concert, when it comes to all these other concerts we've had, we're very lucky that the last 2 years we didn't have any public concerts. And maybe, luckily, that's why we didn't have any stories like this. But when it comes to police in all of this, what is their role? And how well do they execute it?
First, I want to pray for the families that lost their loved ones. We pray for the good Lord to give you the strength at such a trying moment. And may the souls of the departed rest in eternal peace. One of the problems of our country, Uganda, Philo, and those watching us, is people just do things, but they don't pay attention to details. People do things just to complete a task. You get what I'm saying? In Uganda, we say bakola muwalo, just like have come, have done it, it is gone. And this is cross-cutting. Not only in the problem comes. Now, you chose to begin with the side of police. One thing I want to tell you, why I say people here just accomplish tasks, but they don't take keenness in ensuring, is what I'm doing right? It's like having a housemaid at home. You're the husband, you're the head of the family, and it is night time, and you tell your housemaid, mugalenzi jitwebake. a sensible man, before you go to bed, because you're the head of security in your home, you must ensure all doors are locked, including even the gate, unless you have a night watchman. If you have a gate, omusajja ogenda okebera ku nzigi makufulu kwegali bazisibye. But if you rely on has Gavi locked the door, has the housemaid, you see thieves just on your bed telling you tewenyenya sirika, and they'll begin robbing you. So why did I bring that example? I've looked at so many events. I've worked with some organizers of some events. But this is where the problem is. Police usually, and I must emphasize this, their interest of late is checking those entering to ensure that they don't have harmful objects. We are in a time of terrorism, they don't carry bombs and all that. There they are good. I may not know to what level of excellence they are, but because you've not had anything happen and they pass the checkpoints. So any crowd, you'll find them at that. Two, sometimes is looking at security around. You know, when we usually have these concerts, these venues,
yes,
there are these funny groups. Because they know there are many people that come and beat people along a certain stretch around the venue, creating security. There it is deployed. But when we come to the actual planning, where I said people just do things, before the concert at Freedom City began, police inspected the venue. They came, looked at the lighting, looked at stages, said, yes, you're good to go.
The entry and exit points, the evacuation points.
Yes. If Sibutamala Gakola, any police officer would have asked, where are the emergency exits? Because for any crowd that is going to gather people, first and foremost, you must have an emergency exit. You must show them that these are emergency exits. And even when this crowd in well-organized venues, when the concert is happening, you must alert people. They should know emergency exits. They should know restrooms if they want to ease themselves. So, according to preliminary findings, the emergency exits were closed. Enanga confessed that yesterday and said there was only one door. So any senior police officer that went to this venue, and at the back of, we have to have emergency exits because there could be a fire. Here you're having equipment, lightning.
Yeah.
It may not have been stampede, but supposing it is a fire. So what would you have done? Second, most of these events, police are not within the venue. They're outside the venue. Follow most of these. Most so either these enclosed. Because during these events, police must not just be seen to be around, but part of the entire system. So that you can monitor situations. You see, the organizers must be working with the police. And actually, I remember when they were issuing out these guidelines by one of the commissioners, this is what they said. As we are coming to the festive season, avail us with artists that are going to perform, their names and their contacts, among the guidelines they gave. Then they said, work with us throughout. These were guidelines they issued. Now, that meant that there had to be a police officer for such a function, who is even following the program, how it is moving, and guiding, because even this much as it's the role of police to carry out this security, one of the things that is there's even some money given to these officers. You don't just go to police and say, I'm going to have a chivalry. The reality is, this may not be restricted money, but there is some benefits. So police had to plan, and it would be no way with any police, because you have crowd and management experts, a small unit within the Uganda Police Force. These specifics that would advise an MC to say 30 minutes to the population of about 800, they can pass in one exit and go to the parking lot.
Because this venue had the people, the capacity is about 500, but the people were there were more than that.
Well, capacity is still confusing,
yes,
because I may not tie myself to it. The promoter, Abitex, said that place can host about, according to him, it can host about 15,000 people. I don't know. And he said he had about he said 1,500. And he said he had about 800 people. But I'm not very sure of the capacity of Freedom's that particular hall, so I don't want to tie myself to that. But here, with the police management, he would advise for that, okay, planning together, because this is not a political event, planning together, you would tell them, it isn't advisable with the crowd you have to say that 30 minutes too, let's move on. Let me give our viewers a simple example. All of us have attended functions, the Nasa Mukasa, the Steve, and you watching us. I'm going to give you a simple example. Why do you think at any function the ushers come when it is time for food and tell people, let this line stand first? Simple common sense. Let this line stand. Then when these have gotten food, nebachima walala. Do you know why they do that? Because they can be stampede. People can crowd the tables where they are serving food. I hope, Philo, you've seen this. They raise guests and tell you, now the MC announces, akati abali kulaini esooka, tusetuke mpola mpola, tugende ku mmere. Bwe banaaba maliriza, n'abalala tujja basitula. Mugumiikirize, ba-asha bajja batukako. Those are the first line or the front line. Now go and get food. When they are done, we shall ensure those are the second. The ushers are coming. They will guide you to the table to avoid stampede at the serving table. Otherwise, if you go and then you just shout, now it is time for food, you can all go to the table. What will happen there? So, if police was working in tandem, but the other problem also arises where I want to fault police, that most of these events, I don't know who takes this money, but you find that when a service is paid for, it becomes a problem. One, the police officers, why they look at checking people entering, any event organizer, numbers are where business is.
Yes.
So if a police officer says, maybe for every, we've also had functions at home. Have you had a function and the police officers you bring, you don't pay them?
Of course, you have to pay them.
Now, if a police officer is told by the deploying officer that at the end of this chivuru, you're getting 200,000, how is this person going to limit entry? Because, Abe Musinguzi, the more people he gets, the more money he's making. You get it? So it is very problematic for these 3, 4, 5 young men to say it is full to capacity. Because the more money the man is making. Because they can come out and say, I was expecting to give this to security, this is what I can give. So when systems also get challenges there, this is also another problem. I've seen it in some places where you tell police that we are now full to capacity, and the man comes and says, we can still have some space, but and the police are there to say no, as long as security. But most of the challenges, police is not inside venue.
Yes.
They are outside venue. They are more emphasizing the checking of people coming in and ensuring there is security, no snatching phones around there. And worst, they just come and inspect venues, but do not plan with the organizers of the venue. There's one time a stage where Kabako broke. He was dancing, but you would look at the artists you're having. Do we know them? As you said, provide contacts of the artists. You look at the strength of these things to hold these crowds. Then you work and plan because you're the experts. The organizers are business people. The person who built the venue is after money. The person in charge of protecting lives and property is the Uganda Police Force. So you must work throughout to see that people are safe.
Now, I'm very glad that you also talk about protecting people. Another point of contradiction in all these, and again, this one event really represents what's been probably happening before this all happened. Now, among the list of the victims that police put out, they did have quite a list of the victims, their ages. Now, it's very sad and heartbreaking that we also noticed that there were some juveniles. Okay, these were children below 18 years of age. And this has been a point of conversation amongst, the public and Ugandan citizens. See, this is a celebration, but we are also looking at parents who actually carried some of these young children to these events, because we did see, we actually lost a number of them, say maybe about 2 or 3.
There are 5 juveniles.
Actually, there were 5, and we still have quite a list
about
of
16 years.
And we have again a list of other unidentified bodies yet, because there are very many discrepancies in all these, and I mean, we'll be also looking into that much later on. But Robert, for me, this is quite a very it's a point of disturbance, if I must say, because we are looking at, celebrating. This is a celebration, you're getting into a new year and all of that, but also having these venues where a parent carries a child who is below 18 years old, because according to the Ugandan constitution, 18 years, you're young. Below 18 years, you're young. For you to be considered as an adult and somebody who can make their rightful decisions in their rightful minds, you have to be 18 years and above. I don't know, what do you think about this? Because somebody would argue that, no, this was just a celebration. They didn't see, this was something unpredictable. But I do believe that there are certain venues where we shouldn't be allowing children of 18 years. And I'm sure we still have this somewhere in the law. But for this to be happening, it clearly represents that a lot has been happening. Now, this is a responsibility to who exactly? The parents, the promoters for not putting age limits. Who do we put this blame to?
Well, I think that is a tough one. I must say it's cross-cutting, because as we look at that or dissect it, everyone must be blamed. I want to give you an example. One time, I went to cover some function, and it was in Mbarara. I think that hotel is called, it's Lake Vic Hotel, something like that. Lake View Hotel.
Yes.
So, this young man comes with a daughter, but we misunderstood it. However, police said we did a good job. So they had come to the village and they hired a room to sleep with his daughter. But not, there are these rooms where there are 2 beds and all that. So it was a father with a daughter. But people who were with outside, one said, Nedda, this guy is moving and he's going to spend a night here. It raised concern until he had to prove that this was his daughter. They had come to the village. Their car had gotten a problem on their way back. So he had come to get a room and spend a night there. He got a room of 2. He said he never wanted to sleep when his daughter is in one room and he is in another room. So and it was sorted. But that was public concern. That we're not going to let a mature man come in a hotel with a young girl and have whatever with her. So I want to begin with community. There are places I've gone to and told management, bano bakola chiwano. What are these young girls? I mean, these young boys, how do they gain entrance here? I want to begin with society and the community. That today you go to a bar, those that go to bars, and under 18, and you're like, labano holiday makers. It is laughable, as if you're not mature people. You see these young kids, maybe management has allowed them in.
Yes.
They are taking beer, and for you make them a talk. Now with social media, do you know what happens? Someone picks a phone, records, then goes and posts. What did they make at your That is it. Or goes on Twitter, gets a picture, tweets. Society. We all have to be blamed for the next generation or future generation. Now I go to management of these events. For sure, entertainment, we have events for young children. Remember one of us here, I think is Wilfred PRO, used to organize SSO Moto, Wilfred. There are concerts, there are people for children, and we all know them.
Yes.
In this, there is no drinking, In this, they're having their games, they're having whatever.
There is also,
interaction.
the children are chaperoned, by the way, by adults at these events.
Yes, at these events. And now, when you talk about a concert that is going to go up to midnight, as the event organizers, how did you allow young children to enter? It would even have been clear, children below 18 years are not accepted. And even these that grow very fast, you know, during holidays, young girls confuse teens, they have, you call them wigs, this artificial hair that someone puts on. She may be 16 and look 18. But you must have people who would be able to say, you're underage, do not enter. Organizers, there must be held responsible. Why children below 18 years were at this venue? That because alcohol was there.
Yes.
The musicians coming to perform, they're not performing for mature people. I don't want to mention names, but I'm looking at some footage where one, you know how our artist recently saw one who almost squatted in public?
But, I mean, we don't even have to go very far, because just a couple months ago, we did see the Ministry of Education banning artists, you know, in schools, you know, going and having presentations in schools and having all these performances. They said it's just not right.
So this was 100% a mature people event. Therefore, the organizers would at no cost allow children. Let's go to police. That's why I said, just to fulfill a task. And that is the problem with our country. People get jobs and they just do to fulfill a task. As a police officer, how did these children access this venue when you're at the checking point? This was a mature, then finally I go to the parents. And here, it is very hurting, but certain things you must take them head on. How would you travel from Maganjo with 4 children, the eldest being 15 years? You come all the way to Freedom City. You know how very insecure that day, the 31st is. Moving. We all know, fellow Ugandans, 31st, that night, the Bachifesi, the what. Moving, streets are very dangerous, by the way. But for you planning past midnight to move with these children back to Maganjo, I think parenthood is something we should take serious. That's why earlier, Philo, I said 2023, if you're not ready to be a parent, please don't be. We are not denying you to participate in acts that produce children, but have yardsticks of ensuring there is no child produced. Embrace family planning until you're ready to be a parent. You know, parenthood involves sacrifice. Philo, before I was a parent, I could maybe enter any time I want. But you have a son who has to look at you and know that men must be home to grow up knowing. So you can't be a parent. And I want to speak this to my little sisters. Young ladies watching us this morning. And the men make right choices on who is the mother of your children. Young women, if you're not ready to produce, to become a mother, today you find a woman, she doesn't breastfeed. I don't want to lose the shape of my breasts. She doesn't want even to be known she's a mother. She works on the bodies. So, if you're not ready, because this goes to parenting, for heaven's sake, what justification do you have to take children to such an event?
Well, I do believe that parenting is a responsibility for both parties, the mother and the father. So again, a responsibility has to be shared.
If you're not ready to sacrifice,
between the two
don't
people.
bother.
Getting back to the poll question, how best can safety be achieved at public concerts in Uganda? I do have some feedback coming in from a gentleman called Godfrey who says, good morning, Uganda. Our police are fully money-minded, and this culture should be worked on by police management. And he continues to say that honestly, Abiy has no case to answer. He got clearance from police, and police indeed who were present. So we must take on the officers who were on duty that day. Of course, I do expect people to actually come in and claim that the promoter, Abi Musinguzi, didn't have any case to answer. But I still believe that there was... But yeah, I still believe that there are cases of negligence. And when you speak of POMA, what's the principle of the Public Order Management Act, Robert, in this case? And I mean, I would even try to ask, because even when the Vice President, that is Jessica, Honorable Jessica, when she visited this whole place where the incident happened, she was talking about the Public Order Management Act, and she said, we need to understand if the promoter actually followed through the principles of the Public Order Management Act, even the security. So that actually means that there was relevance of this act, because when you look at the setting, where would it come in relevant? So I don't think I don't think they did the wrong thing to arrest him. He has very many questions to answer in all of this. I do firmly believe there was too much negligence while they were executing whatever it is they were executing at this venue.
You see, the problem POMA faced is it was politicized. Yes, I must be honest to Ugandans. It had an element of politics, and most of the timing where it came in. Because that is when we had these Noop gatherings, Noop what, you know, that is when we were having political instability created by these. So when the Public Order Management Act came in, many thought, and it was to suppress the opposition. Depending on which side you are, it could be right or it could be wrong. But in POMA, there is a clause that states the convener of this gathering is responsible for the outcomes and the people there. Despite police being there, because POMA says if you have this, notify police, work together to plan. But it goes ahead to say that you, the convener, you're responsible for the lives of these people. You, the convener, look at that properly. That is why they were telling people that if you're inviting people to come for these political rallies, you must work with the police. You must know who you're having, the number of people you're expected under the law. That's where they said it was complicated. That you must know, I'm going to take on a playground, because I'm going to use the political side because that's where most people Ugandans saw it from. If you're Robert Kyagulanyi Center, and you say, I'm going to hold a rally, know the capacity of that place, know the people that are present where they say that would be maybe a bit impossible. Then have a security plan that you're working with security. But in case of any certainty or misbehaving of these people, you're responsible. Abe made a statement. I was listening to some of these audios recorded, and say that even by the time this incident happened, he wasn't at the venue. I'm told as a promoter, unconfirmed reports indicate that he didn't have only this yesterday, on that day, he had about 2 events, and he could have been at another event. You get it? So that issue, element of negligence, in one way or the other, may hold him, because these people were there on his invitation. There is no way you can hold a party in your home. You get it, Philo? People are injured, and you say you who invited us, you're not responsible. Because when you invite, these are things Ugandans should get accustomed to. I know families during holiday, you just invite someone's daughter. Forgetting that in case of anything, you're responsible. So there is no way you, the convener, you who invited us, you can say in case of uncertainty, you're not responsible for the lives of these people. It entirely goes back to you as the convener. It goes because you having set up this concert, we believe that you looked at all avenues to make it safe. Of course, even police must question itself. If you ask police, did the fire and rescue service inspect this venue? In case of a fire, most of these fires,
yes,
were there fire extinguishers for such big crowds? Did we have the fire and rescue department available? Maybe a fire
Actually,
brigade
even
in case of that.
when you know, Fred Enanga was addressing the media yesterday, he did say that investigations, apart from crowd management and, you know, stampede management as well, some of the things the investigations are going to be looking into was ambulances. Were they available? Okay, at this event, because this is a setup where you find very many people who come with different character, and there is a lot that is expected.
I think sometimes my brother
and all of that. And for me, my question is, when you talk about this, is something that is supposed to be done actually by the nature of the event or the function or whatever was being held there. But I mean, how many functions, how many events, especially public events, have we seen where there is actually an ambulance or two or that ready for occurrences like this?
I understand Enanga is the spokesperson. That sometimes I think my brother on certain issues either has to keep quiet, I'm sorry to say so. Because when you confess you gave a go-ahead for this to go on as police, my brother Enanga, you gave a go-ahead. Now, hell has gone loose. You're coming and asking what you should have done if it was in place? No, let's be honest. When you're organizing a function of this magnitude, fire and rescue services must be involved. We must step up because we have these guidelines. We have these guidelines and the police knows them. Now you lack the moral authority after confessing that you've okayed. These are lives of people and to have food day. You know me, what annoys me sometimes is we don't see the shake-up that we require. The territorial commander, the person who inspected this venue, the police officers who were at this venue, where are they? You cannot talk about things that were supposed to be in place and they weren't in place and you gave a go-ahead. Let me finally give you an example. During the 31st, police came out with the time for fireworks. And the police granted these places. And the police said territorial commanders have the right to stop these events. I know places where fireworks went for 20, 30 minutes. And I told people, no, these might be thieves. Because police, I told my friends, this may be bullets.
I mean,
because police told us,
yes,
for 10 minutes, fireworks must have stopped. Now, if you are going in 20, 30 minutes,
but if you also, I did.
And you know what is funny?
Yes.
But police was there policing these events.
I did a follow-up, and there was
there.
Yes.
You know, we must stop just living to fulfill tasks, but pay attention to details and be responsible enough.
While we are still on that, there was also a venue in Kasese where, you know, the whole fireworks thing really just went AWOL. I think the person who was operating them was not a professional. So again, it goes on to say that there is quite a number of loopholes in all of these guidelines. There are certain things that are not being given attention to.
Money is the problem, my sister.
Well, speaking of money, Derek here is saying that I think before anyone organizes a concert or a show, they must note the crowd they are bound to receive, and they should know that it might be either uncontrollable due to some factors like excitement, excess drinking, etc, etc. So all the event organizers must do is to actually deploy more security both in and out of the venues. The small venues that can't accommodate the crowds they receive, but they actually squeeze people in and they end up suffocating. So I personally think the organizers need to also mind about the safety of the people, but in all their eyes, all they're thinking about is making money.
Just one for my brother. I want to tell fellow Ugandans the honesty of honest that I have in my heart. These people, let me just give you a brief of how these promoters make their money. This is a person who invests a lot of money in advertising, pays the venue, pays the artists. Some of these artists, you pay in advance to book them, or you give them half of the money. So this is a business person that is looking at making money in numbers. Any show, the numbers are what make money. People that have bought tables at 1 million, VIP 50,000, then the 10,000. So for these business-minded people, safety of those coming may be hard, but security, for them, it should be their priority. So, whatever happens, I don't say they're 100% innocent, but for them, they're there to make money on numbers, not on the good music. So unless our security forces up their game, take this as serious as dealing with lives of people. Not just saying we were deployed, we were there, we were paid, we went. We are bound to see many of these events. You go to these shows, there's this thing they put, bulkhead.
Yeah, the
and
barricades.
people are being squeezed on there. You know, there is pressure. We must up. And now there's this funny thing of hiring bouncers. There's this, is it Uber or something? Those big
well,
people
according
who do
to the
nothing
report,
and-
those the so-called bouncers or security were also deployed inside the venue, aside from the typical
Oh, they
police
know
being
sukasuka abantu. They don't. You know,
deployed
there's what we call.
outside. But at the end
your
of the
mind
day,
being awake.
at the end of the day, I feel like this again zeroes down to security, because if you give a go-ahead, that means you are very certain of some of the things that should be able to be in place for an event like that to be happening. No wonder people are faulting the security, in as much as they say they did due diligence and they've come up with all the statements they could afford to. But again, it still goes back to you.
Maybe they're
So
just fooling
there's still
around.
quite a lot that police has to do in the wake of a tragedy like this. We don't know what will be happening during the course of the year. But before we get on to the next business, just to remind you of the poll question this morning: how best can safety be achieved at public concerts in Uganda? How best can safety be achieved at public concerts in Uganda? Go on, get onto our socials. WhatsApp number 0709602592 and get onto hashtag UBCGMU on Twitter. I'll be sharing all of that as we go on. And of course, for those of you who are actively already engaged, we are very grateful and we can't wait to hear from more of you. Share with us. We're going in for a break. When we get back, we'll be looking at the big stories in the papers: Daily Monitor, New Vision, and of course, the Daily Nation.
The festive season is here and it's Christmas in 4G from Airtel. Get the most affordable 4G smartphone in Uganda, now heavily discounted from 250,000 shillings to 150,000 shillings only. Yes! 150,000 shillings only to keep you connected to your loved ones this holiday season.
Dial *175*94# to activate free 1 GB instantly and 100% double data on all weekly and monthly bundles for 3 months. Get one today while stock lasts from the nearest Airtel shop. Happy holidays this festive season with Airtel, the smartphone network.
Would you know where to find your children if they got lost in a supermarket? Do not think so hard. The answer is simple. Like adults, they too are in love with the delicately and expertly prepared freshness of, you guessed right, the ever so tasty Sam's Crisps. Sam's Crisps come in tangy lemon, fruit chutney, salt and vinegar, chili, tasty tomato, and more. All available in your nearest shop or supermarket. Sam's. Taste the difference.
It's a new world. We are going global. A new world of greater connectivity. From Entebbe to Dubai, London, Mumbai, and Guangzhou. Welcome aboard a great new experience. Uganda Airlines.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
We're looking at our papers this morning. They're quite heavy and rich when it comes to the big stories. Daily Monitor, of course, starting off and looking at the stampede. Parents find more bodies, and the question there is, what is the death toll? Now, revelations by some parents that their loved ones were among bodies that had not been declared from New Year Eve stampede at Freedom City Mall has thrown a spanner in the works on tragedy's death toll. Now, you can get that full story over there in the paper. And still in more stories, road accidents give government a wake-up call on safety. And we're looking at a picture at the front page showing caskets containing bodies of Urich Kamudasi Mugamba, Eli Winyi Mugamba, and Tara Mugamba being lowered into the graves. This was in Kabalore district yesterday. Now, the three relatives died in a road accident on Mitiana Kampala Road. This was on Friday. Again, one of the other tragedies that we saw as the year was ending. Looking at more stories in the Daily Monitor, Uganda named among world's top tourism destinations in 2023. Be certain that you'll be getting a clear reason or clear reasons as to why it was named among the top destinations. UPDF soldier arrested after shooting 3 colleagues died in Somalia. And moving on to the second page of the Daily Monitor, Museveni orders on Owino market title. The issue was brought to the president's attention by the Kampala District Land Board boss, Mr. David. And these have quite a lot to share with you on what some of these orders are. So get yourself the Daily Monitor and catch up on those stories. But also taking you back in history, DDT first applied in Uganda against malaria. Also in history, Mussolini declares himself dictator of Italy. The year was 1925. Well, look at your history coming to life after all this while. And looking at the new vision, the big story, we are focusing on regional forces issue M23 ADF ultimatum. Now, joint security forces promise to wipe out rebels by end of 2023. Also still giving you the Freedom City tragedy. Concert organizer arrested. Museveni gives 50 million. And of course, this was presented by the Vice President, that is Honorable Jessica Alupo, showing how government was commiserating with the families. Human trafficking, police bus cartel from Burundi, and also Hoima Airport. Works Ministry rejects 559 billion Uganda shillings loan proposal. Well, also looking at the Pope who surprised the church, looking at the late Pope Benedict the 16th. And on to the second page of the new vision, government delivers agricultural machinery to veterans. And taking you to history today, still giving you details. Martin Luther was excommunicated, and Owino vendors attack Lukwago. The year was 2012. And in the sports section of the Daily Monitor, adieu to the king. So long the king. Thousands of mourners started gathering yesterday morning to pay their respects to Brazil legend Pele, who is lying in state at the ground of his former club Santos. And a picture showing mourners file past the casket of Pele inside the Villa Belmiro Stadium in Santos City yesterday to pay their last respects. And also looking at a youth camp wide and rich, and also Navratilova diagnosed with double cancer. Now, if you're a fan of tennis, clearly you know the star, and quite sad things happening to him. And in athletics, Cheptegei stands tall, Kiplimo Kiplangat rise, also giving you quite a story over there. And looking at Premier League, Arsenal look to pull clear. Premier League leaders, Arsenal host Newcastle, looking to pull 10 points clear of Manchester City. Now, how is that going to go down? Get yourself the Daily Monitor to catch up on the sports story. And the New Vision sports stories, we're looking at MX lights up Fort. And is Kasule too small to play for Cranes? Again, a question whose answer you can get in the New Vision this morning, and showing you how it is all lined up. January 14th, the DR Congo versus Uganda, and also when it comes to Senegal versus Uganda, they'll be facing each other. That is on January 18th. And when it comes to January 22nd, well, Uganda will be going against Ivory Coast. Now, how will that turn up? We are yet to see. In more New Vision stories, sports policy needs refining. Again, one opinion coming in from the president of Uganda Olympic Committee and Commonwealth Games Uganda. Do you agree with him? Well, look at that story in the New Vision and you'll get your answers. Moving over to the Daily Nation, what's happening over there in Kenya? Storm over push for handshake. Now, fresh bid is led by Kikuyu Council of Elders. How their allies reacted. Now, Jeremiah Kioni has something to say. Also, Gabriel Kagombe, the people pushing for this reconciliation, former President Uhuru apologists. Quite a serious one over there. And UD and Jubilee leaders reject calls by Kikuyu elders to end the strained relationship between President William Ruto and his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta. Well, 2023 is going to be quite an interesting year for these two gentlemen over there in Kenya, and we should keep our eyes open. Cost of living to headline cabinet retreats, technical colleges to stop business courses. And AIDS breakthrough. Relief is on the way for people living with HIV as America's Food and Drug Administration approves a drug that is administered only twice a year. Now, why Pele easily lifts the greatest of all time trophy. Again, another interesting opinion that you can catch on in the Daily Nation about the fallen star. And the counties fail to spend on development. Well, there you go. And campaigns hot up, by-elections in fighting in UDA ahead of Kandara poll. Duale backs relative in Garissa Township, and two-horse race to replace Mokomen in Elgeyo Marakwet. Clearly, things are getting hot over there. Well, grab yourself the Daily Nation, the Daily Monitor, and of course the New Vision as you go by the day to see what's happening, the stories, and also looking at some of the other international stories across the African continent. Well, switching to our traffic situation this morning, the roads are getting back to it again. Busy and busy and busy. This morning, I want to focus on areas of Ndeba, Kaboa, Lubiri, and of course, looking at areas around Chibuye and Katwe, where the traffic has already taken a serious toll. Now, if this is your usual route, well, I hate to break it to you, but you're going to have to exercise quite some patience as you're trying to make sure you get to your destination safe and sound. But looking at Ndeba, coming in from Kaboa, well, it's very, very busy this morning. The traffic has already taken over stretches on this specific road. We also do have Salama Road over there where the traffic is not going any easier. Matter of fact, we're already witnessing some build-ups and already witnessing the red stretches over here, showing that it's going to be quite a long ride for whoever is using this specific route to make sure they get to where they are headed. And approaching Chibuye as well, it's also very busy. The traffic is already building up. The orange stretches are clearly demonstrating how everybody is trying to make sure they find their way through on this road to make sure that they get to where they are going. The Queensway, on the other hand, is quite a free route as for somebody who would be probably intending to use the areas around there. But as you're headed towards town, the traffic gets busier by the minute. Look at the menace over here. We have quite some very, very many road users. No wonder we're seeing quite the maroon transitions and the red transitions, showing the traffic here is quite a bit chaotic. We have Nsambia Road, and which is again joining the main road. So if you're coming in from this area where it practically is a bit free for you to navigate, it wouldn't be the same story, because as you get closer to the main road, the traffic kicks in, so you definitely have to be very patient while at it. And of course, as you're headed towards a town, like I did say, the streets around here are quite very busy. Looking at Barton Street, it's not any different. We do have the Buxton Road as well over here, which is not again any different. Looking at Loom Street, it's quite very busy this morning, so you need to make sure that you are in the know, and you could probably make an informed decision on where you're going to pass. And also looking at the other part of town, switching to Nile Avenue, of course, this is a route that could be used by people joining in from Yusuf Lule Road over here. And we have quite a free road for you to use this morning. Shimoni Road is also again another option that you could actually look into, because the green lines are quite dominant, meaning that it's very free for you to use, and quite an easy road to navigate, so it shouldn't be problematic at all. And continuing, of course, all the way as you're headed towards Kampala Road, it should be a smooth ride per the map as I'm speaking right now. And getting onto Speak Road, of course, you'll be expecting a bit of traffic building over there, as we do have cars that are joining in from the other side of town. So there you go, you do have your traffic map. If you're coming in from all those different areas, make sure that you know which route to use and which route is ideal. Well, again, look at us. We're still talking about accidents in 2023, so make sure that you're quite careful. We did see numbers that were growing more and more towards the end of 2022. Now, again, this is a story we don't want to be carrying forward to 2022. Be a responsible road user to make sure that everybody is safe on the road. You, the user, and all the others, the pedestrians, the motorists, and the cyclists as well. Okay, coming in still from our poll question, where we did ask how best can safety be achieved at public concerts in Uganda. How best can safety be achieved at public concerts in Uganda? We do have quite some more coming in from Baleka Moses, saying that thank you so much for the show. I do agree with you. Police should allow such events for safer inspection of the venue, ensuring that there are fire extinguishers and emergency exits. Thank you so much, Baleka Moses. Clearly, you're also trying to advocate for more security resources to make sure that everyone is quite in the know and everyone is safe at events like this. Mwero Nebot, you're saying, but the president made a directive on who is to be at such public events. So how did the police even allow a concert to take place without even being an ambulance in existence? Thank you so much, Nebot Mwero. Well, keep the feedback coming in. The conversation is still ongoing. UBC GMU. Let us know how best we can achieve safety at public events, and also go ahead, use our WhatsApp platform as well. We'll be getting into all of that. We're going for a break, but we do have GMU agenda lined up as well. We also do have some more sports updates coming through for you, the sports lovers and fanatics. It's Good Morning Uganda. I'm Philomena Masco.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
It's a new world. We are going global. A new world of greater connectivity. From Entebbe to Dubai, London, Mumbai, and Guangzhou. Welcome aboard a great new experience. Uganda Airlines.
Every waking day is a reminder just how beautiful this, our land, truly is. The kind of beauty that you can only find here, in the lush green all around us and the wondrous sights within. It's in the distinct aroma of our cooking, to the taste of food that takes you on a journey, in the sound of homecoming and the sound of Mother Earth, in the magnificence we find on our travels and the